All right. Give everybody a chance to come on in here. You can listen to the birds real quick. You can grab a drink of water. Okay. All right, let me grab a drink of water. Let's get started. All righty. Praise y'all. I don't know. Somebody the other day was saying I was drinking beer. So y'all see what this is? Water. Everybody see it's water. I try not to do that too much because I'm not doing any advertisements or whatever. But here it is. Amen. Or at least I'm not advertising this stuff. Okay. Praise y'all. All right. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of mine heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer, and it is in His name, which is His authority, we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect today's message. Amen. Hola, mi nombre es Kofi. ¿Cómo está? Bonjour, je m'appelle Kofi. Ça va? Ni hao, namaste. Hosaya anakitabuya, Ohio. I see you. Kamsa, kamsamida, wagwan, ciao, aloha, habarigani, um, madease. I'm sorry. Akwaba, Madase, Itesen, Jambo, Mimi Nikofe, Nina Faraku Katana Nuewe, Boker Tov, Boker Tab, Grand Rising, Bakwartav, Barakalat Sham Yahava, Anai Kofi, Kohelit at Servants of Christ, Mashalom He. Hello, everybody. I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. Thankful and grateful to be in your presence one more again. We appreciate you. Oh, actually, you know what? Hold on 1 second, y'all. Hold on, everybody. If you're on TikTok, you're going to pause. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, guys. I got to look up. I got to make sure we. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. Well, all right. Never mind. You don't have to do this later. I thought I had been sent what I asked for. Somebody sent me something different. Okay. All righty. Sorry about that. Thought we were getting ready to get started. Let's see. Now we got people that are coming on that probably then left. I apologize. I'm sorry. I thought somebody sent me something. I thought it was what I actually was supposed to get sent. Okay, sorry about that. I apologize. I thought I had something that I could share with you all, and it wasn't sent yet. So we'll get that together. Sorry, but anyways, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you. We give our honor and praise to the Most High. We give our praise and honor to Him for my wife, the Honorable Amma, who lives a life that's able to be honored. As always, you can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A-N-D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. We thank the Most High for her. We thank you guys for supporting her in her endeavors. If you do go through her or do something, she does have a personal business. Once again, it is a business. Here we are donation oriented. Hers is an actual personal business. So just know that she will work with you, but just know that if you are having any dealings with her, remember hashtag SOC and to support each other's businesses and make sure that we are supporting one another as best we can as a diaspora. And hopefully people are calling and checking on each other and doing all those things that they're supposed to be doing. All righty, we appreciate you. Let's go ahead and get in. Thank you, everybody, for coming from Early Rising Bible Study Session 2. Those who are doing that, we appreciate you for getting a little double or getting a little extra today. Patreon fam, keep looking on Patreon. There will be stuff uploaded, including SOC University. We will have class. We've been having brief sessions, but we've been making sure we've been trying to do them like every weekday. So we'll make sure that we have that for you guys today. And we thank you all. So we're going to go to, we're going to go to the book of Mark. If you would like to go there, the epistle or the book or the scroll, some would argue which one to call it, but the book of Mark. And we're going to go to chapter 8, and we're going to start at verse 34. So if you want to go ahead and turn there, feel free to. Once again, that's Mark chapter 8, and we're going to start at verse 34. And once you have it, say amen, say amen, say I got it, say I'm with you. Let me know you're on your way, or just if you're listening, you're paying attention, whatever the case might be. We'll get ready to do our Bible pledge. Once again, that's Mark chapter 8, verse 34. In the meantime, let's say hello to everybody who's on with us, who stuck around. So how you doing, Sheila? How you doing, Beck? How you doing, Dwayne? How you doing, Aaron? How you doing, Monica? How you doing, Iska? How you doing, Minister Tamara? Wavy Davy? Iago? Merle, is it? Y'all's my guide. Oh wow, struggling with insomnia, or that can be something that can be tough. How you doing, Nina? Sister Akita, happy, eccentric. Let's see. Lady K, blessings. Gentle B, and I'm sorry, Lady K. Is it like? I apologize. Is it minister? Is it prophetess? Is it elder? Is it reverend? I'm not sure. So please forgive me. I'm in the woods. Yes, there are woods. Sure. How you doing, Ardell? How you doing, Big Brother Thomas? Everybody who's on, we appreciate you. How you doing, DB? How you doing, James? Can everybody see and hear us all right? I think we lost everybody because they came on and I was sitting up there looking for stuff, but it is what it is, right? Everybody can hear. Thank you. How you doing, Charles? Charles OG, double OG, triple OG. Alrighty. So we thank you, everybody, for being on. How you doing, Michael? Hey, how you doing, Sister Sarah? Oh, okay, no problem. Also, too, we still need to figure out. I don't know if you set up something with Sister Renee or not. Maybe we just need to reach out to each other and just do something. We still got to get the Zoom meeting going, so we got to figure that out. Also, if Sister Sheema's on it, when I see her name, we got to get. We're supposed to have talked either Friday or Saturday or something like that, or Thursday or Friday, something. We got to set up something for you and your son and myself, as far as something that I will talk to you guys offline about. But hello, everybody. You said Kizzy is fine. Evangelist. Okay, cool. Oh, Kizzy. Okay, Evangelist. Can I call you Evangelist Kizzy? I'll try to recall it. I might ask you a couple more times. I'm not always the greatest with names at first, but when I got them, especially with the whole handle versus name thing. But once we got it, and we praise y'all for you. And I don't know, maybe pray about it, think about it. We're looking at possibly having some of you all who we know can preach the word, grace us with your presence. We have a lot of ministers on staff here already, so we already have a lot of things, but we might do some kind of panel discussions or things like that. Not like exactly like everybody comes on and just preaches, but maybe we just have some conversations. So, if you want, talk to your leadership, do what you need to do in that aspect or whatever. But we would love to if that's what if your protocol is, but we'd love you guys to start thinking about that. I tried to reach out to somebody from Friday's program the other day. I haven't heard back, but we're looking at that being a thing. So just pray. I'm not sure what days and dates yet. We'll make sure we get you enough time to prepare. But just keep that in your back pocket. Thank you for being on. So let's go to once again, Mark chapter 8, we're going to start at verse 34. Once you have it, say amen, say I got it, say I'm with you. We appreciate everybody's presence. Thank you for being on, everybody. How you doing? Not happening, B. How you doing, Brother Ali? We're going to start at Mark chapter 8, verse 34, and we'll read into the end of chapter 8. All right. We'll get ready to do our Bible pledge. Amen. Yes, sir. You got it. We're going to get ready to do our Bible pledge. So if you have your Bible or your device or your right hand, you just want to put it in the air and just repeat after me. This is my Bible. This is my sword. And this will I trust. For Yahshua is Lord. No sword of God shall ever be heard. For this is my Bible. And this is Yah's word. Hashem Yahweh. Aman. In Yahweh's name. Amen. Alrighty. Mark chapter 8, verses 34 through 38. It reads as follows. It says this. It says, I'm sorry. Hola, ¿cómo está, mi hermana Sherry? Mark chapter 8, verse 34. It says, and when he had called the people, remember, people means nation too, by the way. But when he had called the people with his disciples also, he said unto them, whosoever will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his tav, take up his cross, and follow me. Follow Yahshua. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it. But whosoever shall lose his life for my sake, for my reputation, and watch this, I know it says and the gospels, but it would actually be and the proper interpretation of this, then the same shall save it. For what shall it profit a man? What benefit is there? What shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his nachevash, his psyche or psyche, his soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his nachevash, his psyche or his soul? Whosoever therefore shall be ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him also shall the Son of Man be ashamed, when he cometh in the glory of his Father with the holy messengers of the holy angels. We've just read Mark chapter 8, verse 34 through 38. May Yahweh have a blessing to the readers, hearers, and especially the doers of his most holy word. You may be seated in the presence of the Most High Yah, or go back to what you're doing. Thank you for reverencing him with us. Today, the topic that I've been sent with for us to discuss today is you've gained the world. You've gained the world. Hallelujah. You've gained the world. How you doing, Brother Vincent? How you doing, Pearl? Everybody coming in, come on in, come on in. How you doing, Makia? Thanks for being on with us. You have gained the world. You've gained the world. Now, once again, help me out in the chat before we get started. Let's make sure we're all on the same page here, right? The word world, what does it mean? Right? But what is the Greek word? How about that? What is the Greek word for the word world? How you doing, Monsa? Thanks for being part of the community. What does the word world mean in the Greek? What is the Greek word for world? And right, this word that they use here as world is the word actually cosmos with a K, right? Cosmos with a K. Now, if it was COSMOS, then that means that we're talking about the actual earth or Aratz or Asase. But since it is KOSMOS, it means that we're talking about the system, right? The cosmos. So if we're talking about the system, what he says is, what he's talking about here is people have gained the world, or what I've been sent to talk about, gaining the world. How you doing, Thoughts with SJ? How you doing, Darius? We're talking about people have gained credibility through the system. Even John 3:16, which we love to say, and we should love to say, for Elohim so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son, so whosoever believeth in him will not perish. But here's the problem. The son here is Yahshua HaMashiach, the Messiah, and he is the door. He is the Dalet, or the Dalat. And as the Dalat, as the door, right, he's supposed to give you entry into the kingdom. Why? Because you need to enter into a different system. So in our mind, we're going, he so loved the world, cosmos with a C, or a terraformer, or physically, or he so loved you when you were in the world, right? But that's not what it's saying. It's saying for he so, because remember, before he even gets to this in John 3:16, this is a part of a conversation. How you doing, Warren? And how you doing, everybody coming on? How you doing, Dr. Grandmother Knight? Is it? I believe. So this is part of a bigger conversation. Nicodemus has come in the middle of the night under the cover of darkness and starts off, man, Yahshua, you the man. You got it going on. You got to be at least a prophet. But can't nobody be doing what you're doing unless they are having attachment to the Most High Yah. And Yahshua is rude unto Nicodemus. How you doing, Melissa? How you doing, Sabrea? He's rude to him. He says, hey, before we can even go deeper into this, he says, you got to be born again. And Nicodemus, first of all, like, whoa, you're not even going to take my, okay, well, okay, that's kind of rude. But in a second, like, what you mean be born again? Doesn't even make sense. You're saying I got to go back into my mother's womb? How does a man go back into the place that he's already escaped from? And then he starts breaking it down for him and talking about the system of things and how you're doing some things. You got to be cleansed and you got to make sure you're supposed to be a master and you don't even know what you're talking about. Then you got to go back into this place. And then he says the way that Moses, when Moses is reestablishing what? System, when he's reestablishing laws, and when people are being disobedient and they are being punished for their disobedience and being poisoned by serpents, right? Just like if we're not careful, those who are serpents of today, who follow the grand serpent, if you will, that if you're not careful, you can be bit by them, try to do all the stuff in punishment because you will not follow the ways of the Most High Yah. Then he says the same way that Moses had to lift up the serpent in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up. And if I be lifted up, what? As the song says, I'll draw all men. For if the Son be lifted up, it'll draw all men. And then John 3:16 comes into place where he says, now, still part of the same conversation, he says, therefore what? He says, therefore, Elohim so loved the system so much. His system, not the world system, his system. Right? His system. He so loved his system so much that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him or on him shall not perish, but shall have everlasting life. You have to come into a new system of thought, of belief, of mindset, of living, before you can start talking about these blessings. As we talked about for those who were on early Rise Bible study session, we got to get back to the bara before we start focusing on the barak. We got to get back to the creator and what he initially created and salvage ourselves. That's what, or work out our own salvation, right? Salvation is salvaging of a person, place, or thing. We have to get back to the original intent and get to that bara so that then we can actually obtain the true barak or the true blessing. Amen. All right, so we've got to make sure that we have this stuff together, and we're looking at this different than what we have in times past. How you doing, Web Slider and King D252? Everybody who's coming on, appreciate you. Sean, I don't know if it's Sean Sarrett or Sean Jarrett or something, but thank you for being on. Appreciate you. So we have to get back to a place of worship. You said, or be born again under Jesus Christ. Well, first of all, if you want to worship Jesus, that's fine. We don't do half man, half Zeus here, but I get what you're talking about. Yes, be born again under the Son and then born again under what you call him. I mean, if you're born again, okay, yeah, I'll leave it there. So Sean Garrett, okay. So yeah, if that's what you need to go through, I mean, I think we're dabbling in details that maybe we shouldn't necessarily dabble in, but okay, if that's where you need to go, no problem, right? But yeah, so this is where we're going, because even to be born again, remember, if I'm born again, then that means do a systemic change, right? So, and when you are born, what is the process of being born? What is the process of being born? The process of being born, it starts in the, we're going to be adult about it. We'll be scientific about it. We won't be grimy or maybe some would think I'm too erotic or something like that about it. But when you were born, you start off in the testicular region in one area, and you start off in the area of where the eggs are, so that something can happen in the womb in another area. And the two have to come together as one. And the seed is given from the place that prayerfully, we're talking about even spiritually, is circumcised, right? That means that there's no flesh around it, right? Like you're supposed to have a circumcised heart, that there's no flesh around it, so that you can have a clean law or a perfect law or a spiritual law, so there's no flesh around it. That's Romans, by the way. How you doing, Brother Jermaine? How you doing, Sister Deborah? How you doing, Bruda? So we're supposed to have these things in place already, right? And so these things are clean. Then you go and you enter into the garter, into the womb, or around the fallopian tube area, hoping that the two will become one. The egg, the sperm, right? And the egg. Now here's the egg is going to be the house or the bits or the place where the family is going to get started. But then the zara, the seed, is going to be, now in Hebrew, the word zara is what? Seed. Now, or is also seed. It could be seed that comes out of the man. It could be seed that comes out of the trees, the flowers, etc. It could be trees that come out of the fruits, obviously. It can be seed that come, but zara, it also doubles for the word. So whatever a word is also a seed, right? So in order to be born again in a circumcised, right, phallus, if you will, or a circumcised vessel, or a circumcised heart, even a circumcised law, therefore, must be spoken. And when this word is spoken, it's supposed to come into the womb of the wife. Now, who is the wife? In your Bible, who is the wife? Who is the wife of Yah? Very clear, right? Who is the wife of Yah? Who is the woman that's talked about in Genesis 3 and then it's shown to you again in Revelation 12? It's told that that she's the wife in Jeremiah chapter 3, is the one who gives birth to the son in Isaiah chapter 9. Who is this wife? See, somebody says the church, but that's not the case. I'm not saying that people who are in the church cannot be grafted into this, but that's not the case. I see you, big bro. You said us, right? Now us is who? I want to be, and you got it. I just want to make sure, right? It's actually Israel. Remember, Revelation chapter 12, she has what? 12 stars on her head, on the crown. She has a crown on, 12 stars on her head, and then it's separated, and then it's protected by the clay. The clay are those who are righteous, the righteous word, right? He is the potter, we are the clay. Jeremiah chapter 3, you are my wife, Israel. Isaiah chapter 9, a child to us is born, a son to us is given. Who? Israel. Psalm chapter 121, right? After 120, or is it 121? I shall lift up my eyes, or is it 120? 121, I shall lift up my eyes to the hills from which comes my help coming from Adon, he who made heaven and earth. 121 and 122, somewhere in there, right? But keep reading 122, you start getting to Israel as a compact nation. By the way, Psalm 120 through 134 are called the Song of Degrees, or the Ode of Steps, or the Song of Steps. 15 steps you're supposed to take inside the temple after you first, Psalm 119, have learned what the 22 Hebrew characters are, that you can actually read Psalm 119 properly. This is culture, right? And so anybody can be grafted into this according to Romans chapter 11. Anybody can be grafted into this according to Revelation chapter 7. For Revelation chapter 7 says that destruction is supposed to come in verses 1 through 3. Revelation 7 verses 1 through 3, destruction is supposed to come to the whole earth. But then there comes another angel, a fifth angel. There are 4 angels holding back the winds. But then there's a 5th angel that comes out and says, hey, before all destruction happens, there's a group of people that must be sealed. Who are the people that must be sealed? Go and look those up, right? That's Israel, right? But then it says after that, those who are grafted into the same belief system. Now, why is Israel important? Not because you can't get in because if you're not Israel, as far as Israel, skin color, all that, but because even not all Israel is Israel. Not all of us follow commandments anyways, right? So we got to be careful about that part. But it's saying that then after that, people of all tongues and kindreds and nations, they can now come in because why? Israel is supposed to be the only nation ever created to make sure, right? Israel is supposed to be the only nation that was ever created that 100% was created under the law of Yah. Now when we messed up, we got curses. Just like if you mess up, there are curses. If we mess up, there are consequences. It's like if you mess up, there are consequences. But the wife is Israel. She's been the same throughout the whole word. If you look at how she's described in Genesis 3, and then you look how she's described in Revelation 12, it's literally like you could just read Genesis 3, stop right after it starts talking about bruised in the bruised in the heel and bruised in the head, and then just start reading Revelation 12. It's like it didn't even stop. How you doing, Minister Shante? Okay, Sean, if that's your belief system, sure. If that's your belief system, for us, this is culture. So it is what it is. You don't have to adhere to it, right? It is what it is, right? So how you doing, Springtime? So when you get into this stuff, you have to recognize and realize, right, that's who it's talking about. And even the word church, which is cirque, a lot of people don't know this. The word church comes from the word cirque, and that's the word circus. I know people don't like that. Do your research, look at your etymology, and then come back and holler at me if you're mad, right? So if you need to toss that to the side. But before there was even a word church that you started to get into, and before you started saying that it was Madonna and Christ child, and that it was Apollos and called it Jesus, or half man, half Zeus, and Jesus and Jesus and all that stuff. And before we went away from his name, Yahashua, or before we went away from this or whatever, there was a way of doing things or whatever that was proper. And according to even the Messiah in Matthew chapter 5, verse 18 on the Sermon on the Mount, we were never supposed to change the most minuscule of measurements of the word, nor even the way it's written, because every word is made up by characters. Because in Hebrew, we don't spell out words because we don't use spells. That's a very foreign thing to us to use spells. Matter of fact, witches deserve to be put to death, and witchcraft spirits, or spirits of witchcraft or spiritual witches, should at least have the spirit of witch put to death. We don't have time for that. So we don't spell things out, but we use characters to put words together. How you doing, Sister Jonah? So, and how you doing, Jen MC? This is not me coming at you, and thank you for being part of the community, Jen MC. Excuse me. So, this is not me coming at anybody. This is me saying you got to recognize that there's a lot of stuff that's missing. We're just being told certain things that we're going off of it, right? But Israel is the woman. Israel is the promise that comes out of the promise. Jacob is the promise that came out of the promise. The promise was made to Abraham. Abraham had to be willing, even if necessary, to show Yah that that the promise was not more important than the promiser. And when he showed that, there was a ram in the bush, and out of that, there was we even know, if you go to is it Second Esdras, that all of the issues that's going on in the whole world is between the heel and the hand of Esau and Isaac. That's why, or Esau and Jacob, excuse me. That's why if you look in 2 Esdras chapter 6, verse 9, it says Esau is the end of the world and Israel is the beginning of everything else. That's why it says in Malachi chapter 1, verse 1, verses 1 through 3, you got to realize before we even get to the tithe, and before we get to the hearts of the fathers return to the children, and before we get to the Messiah being told that he's coming to us after about 400 years after that's written, first things first, Malachi chapter 1, verse 1, hey, Israel, I'm trying to show you there's a difference between you and Esau. Matter of fact, Ezekiel 34, he says, Israel, get yourself together, and I'm going to deal with these shepherds that aren't dealing with you correctly and that are eating the sheep and eating what the sheep are supposed to have and won't take care of my flock. And then he goes, what? And talks about the mountain that Esau is on, Ezekiel 35. That's before you even get to Ezekiel 37, where you're talking about dry bones living. But we don't talk about these things and lift these things up righteously. Right? How you doing, Sister Shima? And Sister Shima, we still need to talk. We need to make sure that if you get a chance, if you and your son get a chance, but if you and I can at least get a chance to talk, we got to set some stuff up. Praise y'all. Right? But we don't want to admit this part of the conversation. But that's part of the conversation. And how you doing, Miss Horn? Right? I know it's Renee. We got another Renee. Secretary's name is Renee, so I'll probably call you Miss Horn if I can remember to. Right? So this is the stuff that you're gonna text today. Okay, cool. All right. So we have to get back to this position, back to this place of realizing what's going on. And once again, today we're talking specifically on what we're talking about. You've gained the world. See, the world is a worldly system. We're in this system, but we're not supposed to be of it, and we're supposed to be of Yah's system. This is why it says once again in John 3:16, for Elohim so loved the world, the system, that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. So what is, once again, how does the child come? If I'm born again, what is the process of being born again? Born again doesn't just mean, oh, okay, I just go ahead and I go into the womb and I come out. There's a process of being born, right? Before you were formed in the belly, I knew thee. Because I knew myself, because the word is coming from me and the word coming from me. So therefore the word coming from me. And now remember, the word seed is also the same for the word word. So when the seed comes out of me, how I speak is also how I speak. Did you catch that? I'm trying not to be too in your face. I don't mind being an adult, but sometimes adults act like we can't handle being an adult. We'll watch some adult stuff, but for whatever reason, we can't handle being an adult. We're talking about this. But my seed, right? My seed really is just something that's a reflection of my seed. So as a man speaketh, so is he. So even in our culture, we would recognize that as how I speak is also how I speak. If I speak a certain way, I'll also produce seed a certain way. How I live will also be how my child will live. How I'm cursed, if I'm not careful, will also be how I'm cursed. That's why I must become a curse breaker of generational curses. If my soul is tied to something, then what comes out of my soul will be tied to something. Are you with me? Thank you for the love. Appreciate it. How you doing, Shannon? Right? How you doing, Xavier? By the way, I think I missed you. Thanks for being part of the community. If you want, thank you, Janet. I think I said hello. If I missed your name on any platform, charge to my head, not to my heart. We appreciate everybody. If you're coming from Facebook, if you're coming from YouTube, if you're coming on from TikTok, we appreciate you. How you doing, Just Miracle? Right. So my seed. So this is how you're born again. When you're born again, you go from the Father, and then you go into the woman. You don't become born again unless you go through the woman, or go through not just a woman. Prayerfully, if it's cultural, you've gone through a wife, because he who finds a wife should already be a husband. And if I'm already in a culture, when I find a wife, part of what I'm doing is being ready to have generational wealth. For Proverbs 13:22 doesn't just say the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. It says that if I think of generational wealth, if I'm ready to take care of my children's children, then it says the wealth of the wicked is laid up for me. Because it all belongs to Yah anyways. How you doing, Akeem, man? Right? Well, that's what you believe, Sean. That's what you believe. That's not necessarily what the Bible says or what the scrolls say. But if that's what you believe, right? That's that's once again, if that's your ideals, that's what you do, right? That being said, if we're going to go into what righteousness is, right, lawful standing is, then the seed, how I speak, it goes into what? It goes into the womb of a woman. See, because sometimes we have gotten into misogynistic views, we forget how important the wife is, and we even forget sometimes. And by the way, a lot of times the wife's name is mentioned in scripture, but we just do this thing where, oh, women aren't talked about, blah, blah. So, okay, even if the husband is mentioned, you must recognize in our culture, we recognize that the wife and the husband are the same. Like if Deborah is mentioned, if Deborah is mentioned in scripture, then guess what? That means that her husband was somewhere. We just automatically put the two together. Unless it says she's single. That means if she's there, her husband's there, or he's definitely represented in some way, and vice versa. Right. If you look in the book of Jasher, we actually know here's a homework assignment for you. You look in the book of Jasher, we know Noah's wife's name. That's not a problem for us. Right. It might be a problem for you. Right. But it's not a problem for us. If you get what I'm saying. Right. because in our culture, we recognize, right? If it says Abraham had to have, it means Sarah had to have. That's why when Abraham goes to Abraham, or Abram goes to Abraham, then Sarai goes to Sarah, or Sarah, or Sarai goes to Sarah, right? Because if one changes, the other changes. If I preach a word, then that means Elder Alma preaches a word. If Elder Alma preaches a word, that means Pastor Kofi preaches a word. This is the way it goes, because we recognize that you can't do anything without that which comes out of you. Even the wife who came out of us, even the Ayazar, the helpmeet that came out of us, that became our wife, right? We made a choice. Adam, man, made a choice, and he said, hey, I will. See, we act like it's the Most High that said this part. No, Adam said, she is bone of my bone. And Adam said, she is flesh of my flesh. Adam called her Aisha. If you look it up, and you look it up in the scripture, in the Hebrew, and even look it up in your concordance, she is first called Ayazar, then she is called wife, or Aisha, and then she is called Eve, but that's when she's fallen, or Chava. But Eve, what we call it now, that's when she has fallen. But first things first, she was what? She was Ayazar. She was helped me. Matter of fact, the Most High prophetically said that, hey, it's not righteous for Adam to be alone. He's got everything inside him by himself, but he can't do it much with it because he can't even multiply because he's all by himself. And then he gives him an assignment. Adam, the husband, already qualified to be a husband, already starts looking around and starts naming things, authorizing things in the same manner that the Most High would. And then he comes to doing his work. A husband should already be in his work, right? And then he realizes, as he's naming, as he's speaking, as he's giving seed, as he's giving word, right, as he's giving authority to all these animals, he says, wait a minute, and the seed is being planted. Now something's being planted in me. Oh, wow. I need a helpmeet. Everybody else has a helpmeet except me. Nothing is on my level. And then the one who prophesied it already, prophetically spoke Ayazad, or helpmeet, said, now let me put you to sleep so I can give you helpmeet. Adam is the one that then names himself husband. For this cause shall a man leave his mother and father. That word man actually means Aish, husband. And then he says, and cleave to his wife. That's Aisha. Or some of you say Ish and Isha. Or Aisha, or Aisha even. It's the same word. A lot of you might not know that. That's where that word comes from. Right? So he says, for this cause will a man leave his mother and father, cleave to his wife. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. So he says, for this cause will a man leave his mother and father and what? And cleave to his wife. How you doing, Blunt Talk? How you doing, Cultural Prospect? Right? Or a husband leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife. So where was I at? I'm sorry. Yeah. So in the process of being born again, a word has to be spoken, or even a word has to be spoken. Right? This is why even in your Bible, Judah's son, Judah's second oldest, was actually had his life taken by the Most High, right? Even his second oldest had his wife taken by the Most High. Why? Because the Most High said, impregnate, right? Was it Tamar? Am I saying the right name? I believe so. I could be in the wrong name, but he was supposed to impregnate this wife and take on his big brother's responsibility. In our culture, big brother died. He's got a wife. You don't have a wife. That's your responsibility. You take care of her, whatever. He didn't want to do so, right? And so what happened? He tried to take his seed, the word, and it said he tried to spill it in the ground. And when he spilled the seed in the ground, what happened next? Life is taken. Why? Because what Yah has told you to speak, it should be spoken and spoken into whatever he says. That's why the word seed, zara, it could mean seed like goes into the ground. It could be seed that you speak into the atmosphere. So when the Most High plants something, it means that he wants it to be spoken. When you plant a seed into a ground, you're actually speaking into the ground. It was her name. Thank you. Appreciate you. I was pretty sure. Right. So when he's saying this stuff, right, it says he's saying speaking to the ground. So here's being born again. Don't miss peak game. Don't miss it. So if I'm born again, it means that something is I'm being spoken into a new housing situation inside of a garden, right? Because we know that the woman's womb is even referred to as a garden. How do we know this? Now, once again, I'm not trying to be freaky or trying to be whatever. I'm just being adult. Some of y'all want to act like you're not adult, so be it. But there's a passage in the Song of Solomon where Solomon says something to who most of us agree is going to be known as the Queen of Sheba, or who will be known as the Queen of Sheba. But if not, or Queen Sheba rather, excuse me. But if not, she's the queen. She's the ruler of Cush. But if you don't want to go there, fine. We know that there's a woman he's talking to who's Cush, who's Ethiopian or South Sudanese or Eritrean, or even some of you would say Middle Eastern, but the same group of people that went even partially Kemetic, because Kemet and Cush are actually, brothers and sisters, so to speak, as far as they're connected to the same family, both of them coming from the family tree, coming from Ham, or who you call Africa, right? All this stuff, right? So we know this to be a fact, that this is, and she even says, I am comely because I am Cush, or I'm comely because I am black, or because we're even today, if you go over there to those same people, they like people who are extremely black skinned with extremely white teeth and extremely dark gums. That's the standard. And she says, I'm as black as the tents of Kedar. And this woman who he's having the conversation with in the Song of Solomon, he even makes it a point to say, let me, and this is adult, I know. So if you want your babies to go away, let your babies go away. I'll give you a few seconds. Because I don't want anybody saying Pastor Kofi was just out here and my child was watching and blah, blah. Because technically this is not made for children. But I know we should make sure that children can learn this, even though maybe you can teach children this if you think this is too much. Matter of fact, the reason why some of our children are doing this stuff and some of us got into the freaky stuff that we did is because nobody talks about this stuff, right? And you go to sex ed for somebody else, and we never educate our own people on what sex is, because in our culture, sex is marriage, marriage is sex, and you got to be qualified for it. So husbands should already be husbands before they find their wives, and wives should already be wives before they are found by husbands, and family should be involved, and environment should be involved. We don't want to talk about this, but this is part of what's going on. I think I've stalled long enough, so here we go. All right. So there's a part in the Song of Solomon to where Solomon says, let me eat of my garden. If you're going to be my wife, let me eat of my garden. What is he saying? Oh, y'all don't want to y'all don't want the bedroom. If the bedroom is undefiled until we start talking about bedroom activity, right? I'm not saying everybody need to know your business, but let's just be honest. He says, let me eat of my garden. Guess what the garden is? That's what Solomon said. Not my Solomon, but King Solomon. My Solomon still, he ain't ready for none of that, right? But I'm just come on, bro. Right? I'm just saying. He said, let me. He said, let me eat in my garden. He was telling. Remember, he's describing her body. How you doing, Sister Sage? Right? And if you're coming on to the Vegas on listening or whatever, I'm talking about some adult stuff. Just letting you know. All right. So, but he said, let me eat of my garden. That's what he said. He said, let me eat in my garden. He's remember, when you even listen to this, when you read it, he's describing her breasts, your breasts alike. He says your teeth alike. He says your hair alike. He's talking about the curvature and everything. And then in the midst of that, he says, oh yeah, let me eat it. If we're going to be married and stuff, I'm going to just let you know. Let me eat in my garden. This is why when we teach about women going through their cycle, we tell people that when a woman goes through a cycle, you know how when Abel, or Abal, but when Abel, he lost his life, right? And his life was taken. It was extinguished by his brother Cain. And Cain takes Abel's life, and Abel's blood cries up from the ground, right? It goes into the ground, but Abel's blood still speaks. Now, in a woman, if seed does not get attached to the egg, right, and the egg cannot connect, what starts happening? The egg begins to fall apart, and even parts of her womb fall apart, and blood seeps into her garden, and the blood speaks. Now, we only say this about Yehoshua, but don't forget, everybody's blood speaks. This is why you're not supposed to eat blood of animals, and definitely not blood of human beings or any kind of part of a human being. But you don't eat blood of the animal, right? If you're going to have the lamb, make sure all the blood is out. If you're going to have the ox, make sure all the blood is out, right? Because whatever blood we listen to, the blood speaks. The soul is even in the blood. See, if you eat the flesh, fine. The flesh by itself is one thing, but the blood, remember, even the word mem or mom, and actually is how we would pronounce the character, but we say in modern Hebrew, mem. Mem is water, blood, and spirit. The mom holds the water, blood, and spirit. If the blood is ate, then you will. So there's even people that will tell you if they eat like raw, or they eat, barely cooked or pink or bloody hamburgers, they start feeling like, maybe they might feel like a bull, or they might feel even kind of like a cow, or they might feel certain things, right? You start feeling a certain way. If you eat the blood of certain animals, they'll tell you start feeling like the animal. If you eat the blood, there's some people that eat blood of bears or blood of this or blood of that, right? And they'll tell you they like it because they feel like animals. The Bible tells you that is the case, right? This is why even some people will go to a place. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure on where we fall on this. I'm gonna just be honest with you. I'm not 100% sure where we fall on this scripturally, because there's a few different things that we could talk about. But that's why even some belief systems don't even want you to have a blood transfusion, because if you have a blood transfusion, the belief is that you're eating the blood, right? So you want to get rid of the blood, because the soul is attached to the spirit, right? That's why when you die, right, in order to be a lawful citizen of the United States, or just in life, in order to exist on the planet, Yah's will, excuse me, let me not give it to a government. Let me not give credit to the beast for that. And Yah's will, for you to be a lawful creature, you have to be a flesh body with a spirit. And then what attaches the spirit to the body is the soul. If you have no soul, if you have no spirit, if you have no body, right, or if you don't have all three working together, you are not allowed to be here. That's why every single fallen angel that tries to possess you has to do so through what? Your permission, and then figuring out how to possess you. They have to possess you in order to do anything on the earth realm physical. They have no authority outside of making sure that they have a soul that connects the spirit to the body. They are a spirit, and they must get you to give up your soul. This is why today we're talking about Mark chapter 8. We read verses 34 through 38, and I believe our focal verse is verse 36, right? Which says, verse 30, verse 36, where it says, "For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his soul?" And today we're talking about what? You have gained the world. Now we're going to talk about soul, but let's just finish, because we got to make sure we get this born again piece together, because people don't comprehend what's going on as far as being born again, right? If you're born again, what happens? It's not a simple thing of, oh, okay, I just go into the womb and then I come out. There's a process in being born, right? And so if the woman doesn't get her what is designed to house, to be the house of a family, right, and it doesn't have the seed that's given, that it might be able to start multiplying immediately, right? If it doesn't have that seed, so it'll go through, I'm about to say the wrong word, with myostosis or whatever that's called. If it doesn't get the seed, it begins to fall apart, and even part of her womb falls apart. And now blood is all over, and the blood speaks. This is why the woman, when she's going through her, she's actually, when the woman is going through what we call her cycle, and we're saying she's got all these hormones, yeah, she's going through a cycle because something that was supposed to have life has now lost its life, and the blood is speaking. And she's having an episode, if you will. She's having a problem with it. How you doing, Frank? How you doing, Dennis? She's having issues because what should have never been lifeless now has no life. Is it unrighteous for a woman to tie her tubes? I would say it's unrighteous. Look, if a woman ties her tubes, I don't think it's, well, okay. I'll just put it like this. I don't think that any surgery that's unnecessary, you know what I'm saying? I don't think any surgery that's unnecessary should be. But I know that gets to a place where somebody says, well, I don't want to have but so many children. I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that. I know it gets to a place that gets uncomfortable. I'll just leave it there for now. But I don't believe in. I really don't believe, like, for real. We don't even do. You guys already know where we stand on childbirth. It wasn't until a couple hundred years ago that women even were told they're supposed to be on their backs to have babies. Like, you're supposed to, even the whole way we have babies, you're not even supposed to you're not supposed to cut the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord is supposed to fall off and keep feeding the baby, as the mother who might be struggling to give out milk for the first time can at least make sure she gets colostrum. The baby can have a chance to adjust, still be being fed, and the mother can get used to being able to produce milk. You're supposed to have a birthing stool. You're on your back. You're messing your spine up. You know, you can't even sleep on your spine, sisters. How many of y'all pregnant with sleeping on your back? No. Right? I done had to go and get the pillows and see you with the pillow and see you with this and that and having it in between your legs and doing all this. And some of you didn't even want to sleep in the bed. You had to sleep on the couch because it was too uncomfortable. At least the couch would keep you from flipping on your back and stuff like that. And when you have pressure, when it's time to go, and you see a woman, she's wilding, she's doing whatever, and she's, hey, and then she goes, what's her first response? She squats, right? Birthing stool. Like, the whole way we do the birthing thing is off anyways, right? And we're not really supposed to be doing surgery on women unless it's an emergency. We're not really supposed to be doing surgery during birth because everything there is naturally put in place. So even the birthing thing goes to a whole nother conversation. And for the sake of just for today, because I know that it can be, for some people, especially if you don't know our culture, it's probably going to sound like I'm being very misogynistic out of respect. I'll just kind of leave that question there. But I would say anything that's surgical, we're already kind of stepping out of what Yah's will is, right? And the fact that a lot of us are afraid of having children because we don't think we can support them is probably more about nation building and not as much about what you actually want. But I don't want to go into that because we kind of get into a misogynistic area. So just, or a place that sounds misogynistic for many. We can possibly bring this up. Maybe we'll bring it up later. I'm just going to say for now, we'll lose track because I know some of the questions are going to come up, and I know some people who never listened to me before will probably make assumptions about me without actually giving me a chance to express my heart. So out of respect, I'll just leave it there for right now. Great question. But I'll just leave it there for right now, right? Because I have love for everybody on here, and I don't want this to become a battle versus us growing and learning together, if that's all right. Sorry about that. And how you doing, Slick? How you doing, Ellie? So yeah, I know people who've been with us for years and some months, some weeks, even probably. You probably already know where I'm at, and you already know what our belief is, and you know how we take care of our sisters, and you know that my wife's a herbalist, and you know that we go painstakingly through things to make sure that things are done specific, and we even do, try to make sure that sovereignty and everything's there. So there's a lot of different things that I'm thinking of when you ask that somebody else isn't. But once again, that's because we have a different system. Many people have gained the world, gained another system of thought, but they have lost their soul. They have lost the way that we have our psychology. Remember, in the Greek, the word psyche, or what you call psyche, Psyche, that is the word for soul. So if I talk about stuff, I'm talking about the soul of our people, of our nation. And a lot of people, because you're not into the soul or even the culture of our nation, if I start saying something, you'll think I'm expressing something that comes to another culture, but I come through the kingdom lens. I'm not talking to anybody with common sense, right? If you have common sense, this might not be for you. I'm talking about people with kingdom sense. If you have ears to hear, you'll catch this. And if not, just stick around long enough so that we might be able to show you what is sensical regarding the kingdom and not the flesh. You see what I'm saying? How you doing, Minister Samela Ray? And how you doing, Sister Alyssa? Everybody coming on. All righty. So back to what we're talking about. So the seed is the word. So when you're talking about being born again, the seed, right, comes out and it goes into the woman, right? This is why you even use terms like you are coming, because it's coming out and it's coming into the woman. Or if a woman feels like some kind of pressure is coming out or whatever, and even body is doing things pressing to try and make sure that it allows what's coming to be able to come into it. It's just adult conversation. I'm sorry if that's too much. I'm not going to be graphic, but I'm just trying to show you that some of the things that are there might be, I'm trying to just show you what the mindset is, even spiritually, and how that's because your sex, that's why the bedroom is undefiled, because sex is marriage, marriage is sex. If we're doing things sexually according to the kingdom, then it's matching what's going on according to the kingdom. Right? How you doing, Erna? So when the word is spoken, or when somebody's being born again, that means the word is coming out, and also seed is blood too. So the sperm is actually blood. A lot of people don't know that. So when a man puts his blood in the woman for the first time, because we're supposed to be chaste and virgins as well, and the woman is putting her blood out there for the first time. The hymen breaks, and then so her blood goes into him, and his blood goes into her. It's a blood covenant. There's marriage, just like Yehoshua, when he gave up the ghost for us, and he shed his blood on the time when he shed his blood, and it even went into the grave, and people began to come out of the grave. We also have to realize that that means that even the veil was rent back, and it was ripped in two, the curtain, so that what only one person had access to, right, is now something that is whoever we're married to has allowed us to have access to something that we never had before. This is why, sister, if we do this correctly and teach this correctly from childhood, that sisters should never have to worry about having more than one partner, and brothers as well, because that curtain is reserved for only one person. He was our high priest. Only the high priest goes back there. And right, so a sister sacrifices herself. This is why brothers need to learn how to be gentle, especially if you're dealing with the sister in the first time, because she's sacrificing herself. And she sacrifices herself. A part of her is given up so that you might be able to what? To multiply. But then once the seed hits the egg, now we go through a gestational period. Now, we're not supposed to go through this because we're supposed to already have enough nutrients, but you go through something that you would call morning sickness, right? Now, why do you call it the sickness when you get up? Why do you have the sickness when you get up? Well, because you were not prepared to be pregnant. May I say that again? I know somebody's gonna make it sound like it's weird to you, or maybe it sounds weird because maybe you never heard somebody really tell you like this, but that's why you have something called prenatal vitamins. And thank you for that, Love and Spirit. Appreciate you. How you doing? Tomahawk, thanks for being part of the community. How you doing, Minister Tracy? All right. And welcome back, Sister Sheila. This is why it's called prenatal vitamins. Before you go through the natal, there's something you should pre-do. You should be prepared to do. If you're going to carry a child, then be ready for the fact that the child is going to take nutrients. So you need to have more nutrients. This is why men, we have within our own cells, we have more testosterone than we have estrogen. However, women actually carry more testosterone and more estrogen than us in total, although within themselves, they have more estrogen than they have testosterone. Let me try that again. Within themselves, men have more testosterone than estrogen. Now, in your mind, you might think that means that you have more testosterone than your wife, but that's not the case. What actually happens is she has more testosterone than you and has way more estrogen than she has testosterone. Why is that? Because she is designed to multiply your seed. So you're going to give out something, but you can't multiply it. But she has to be able to multiply it, meaning she has to already have everything in order, all the tools ready to give life. Come on, life giver, to give life. Are you with me? Are you catching it? You see it? So she is ready. Her body is designed to give life, right? Matter of fact, sisters are supposed to have body fat. I'm not saying if you're skinny and that's natural or whatever. Look, I know everybody's designed different, but it's okay for sisters to have body fat. When I was in the military, for my age range or whatever, I think you could have 22% body fat and still pass the test, right? But if you had, but if you were, that was the limit. If you were a female, you could have 33% body fat. Why? Because even at you being your healthiest, we have to take into account that you are stronger in different areas, which means that the fat that you have is actually designed to protect life. So at any point, you could become pregnant during this journey that you're on. And so if that's the case, we need to give your body the optimal efficiency to make sure, because if not, you will not be healthy enough to carry a child if we are sitting up there talking about that you can't have body fat. How you doing, Tony? Right? This is so she carries more inside of her. So we give out that we have. By the way, when you give out sperm and when you have an egg, it's the best of you. This is why you should always take care of yourself, especially men, because your stuff changes during weeks. Sisters, your stuff is kind of what it is. Technically, you should be able to develop more eggs. That's something for another time, because people say that's a lie. But science shows that you can, in fact, and if you look at something biblically, if you're going to be supposed to be eternal, then obviously you can carry eggs more than just a certain amount of time. That being said, right? Sisters, you have more of a situation, especially with us living in sin and shaping in iniquity now, and now having sinful bodies that are giving up on us and starting to die, right? And be even somewhat dilapidated as far as what they should have originally been. Now you have something inside of you to where your eggs, you have what you say the clock is ticking, right? So that means that all these eggs that you have to be careful how you treat your body, because these eggs are houses for the word. They're houses for the zara. They're houses for the seed. They're houses for your family, right? This is why you can carry a seed. This is why you even hear in your Bible that it says that women have seed. They have seed, but they carry seed of somebody else's, but it is married into the house that's already inside of them, and they become a living sacrifice. Even the term wife, literally has the word what? Or has the character sheen in it. The character sheen or sha'ain in it, it literally means that you are willing to be destroyed. Whenever you have a child, part of you must be sacrificed in order for the child to come into existence. And now for 9 months, that child is going to selfishly, by the way, because it doesn't know any better. All it knows is to get to where it needs to be. So it's going to selfishly take whatever it needs. It's not going to try to share nutrients. It's going to get the first nutrient. It's going to get the first fruits. You got to have, because you need to have, it's going to take the first. When the kingdom is in you, by the way, it's not, that's why you give the first. You got to make sure there's excellence going on when the kingdom is in you. Why? Because the kingdom is taking first fruits. That's what it's supposed to get. Matter of fact, not just taking, it asks for it. You have free will with the kingdom, right? Yah's not just going to take from you. He's going to say, will you give it? But the child is selfish. The child says, give me the first fruits no matter what. This is why sisters lose their teeth. This is why sisters lose their hair. This is why sisters lose their mind. This is why sisters get gestational diabetes. This is why sisters go into all types of stuff, because your baby's saying, I'm taking the first fruit. It doesn't care about what your thought. I know you've been told babies are angels and this and that. They are shaping in iniquity. I know you don't want to hear this, but inside your womb, as holy as you are and as holy and as righteous as this process is and as natural as it should be, I'm here to tell you that baby doesn't care about piety. That baby is trying to make sure that 9 months from conception that it will live, or that they will live, that he or she will live. Right? So guess what? And then when it comes out, it's got to be taught about the ways of the world, or a new whatever system, whatever world that you're bringing it into. Now we get into a place where we got to have some dialogue, because are we bringing them into the other system, or are we bringing them to Yah's system? You know, babies not supposed to be brought into light, but you go to the hospital, there's going to be a bunch of light in their eyes. And then we say, how is it that babies are having problems seeing? It's because they've only been in the dark. And if they saw light, it was only through your flesh. And that depends on how much melanin you had that might have blocked out what was coming through. You know, when the baby's in the womb, it learns anger already. You're already teaching the baby. You have to be careful about your hormones and stuff like that. But also, brothers, we have to be careful of what we put on our sisters, because, and our wives specifically, because they're going through stuff, right? And so if we put anger on them due to process, that means you're teaching the baby anger, because the baby's attached. It eats whatever mama eats. You got to be careful who you're listening to preach the word, because you know that babies respond. Babies learn language even before they can speak, or supposedly so we think before they can speak, because they've even done experiments to where they've actually had they've had babies listen to speakers after they're born, and they'll put something over the speaker, and the baby won't respond if it's not in that baby's language. But you put it in that baby's language, even though the baby is not able to speak supposedly, but it starts responding, it starts moving, its brain even starts firing in different ways when it hears a language, and then mess around and let it be the voice of the mother or the voice of the father, and the baby really starts to move. The baby really starts to move. There's a lot of stuff that we're not into. We're bringing it into a culture already. But think about spiritually the culture. See, when somebody's born again into this culture, there's going to be a lot of stuff where, and this happens with a lot of us. Teach me, give me. I need to know. Show me this. Teach me this. Tell me this. Nothing wrong with it, by the way. But that's because you are in the womb. You're not even born yet. You're trying to get nutrients. You're trying to be like, okay, everything I knew was wrong. Let me go to a dark place. Let me separate myself. Let me consecrate myself. Let me be separate. Let me go into the place of Revelation chapter 12, to where I'm no longer attached to the things of this wicked system. But now I'm learning for the first time, oh, everything is new. New information. Oh, this is what anger does. This is what forgiveness does. This is what Barashat means. This is what Yehoshua is. Oh, I didn't even know that Jesus meant half man, half Zeus. I didn't even know there was no letter J in the Hebrew Aleph Bet. I didn't even know they didn't have a letter J in English, because they weren't even using it when the Bible was written in the 1611 version or the 1591 version. I'm getting to this place of darkness and give me, give me, give me, give me. And then there comes a time where I'm born. See, in your mind, you thought you were getting sincere milk from the beginning. In the beginning, you need to just be attached. Come on, you need to be attached right now. But you're going to eventually come out. And when you're born out, we're still going to keep you. See, we're going to do it the righteous way. We're still going to keep you in darkness because you're not ready to see everything yet. All you can see is shapes. We're going to keep you in a place where you can still be attached and skin on skin. You need to still be attached because there's going to be some stuff to where if you're not around, you're going to feel kind of afraid. You're going to start doing some wild stuff, or you start to die off if you're not getting human interaction. Excuse me for using the D word. Thank you for the love, right? There's some stuff that we got to make sure that we're doing right. And then you need to get attached. We still can't just cut the umbilical cord because the umbilical cord is supposed to keep feeding you. The umbilical cord will fall off when the time is ready for you to eat from your mother only. And then we got to feed you sincere milk. And we're not going to give you water during that time because in the milk is the blood, the water, and the spirit. That's why she's your mom or your mem. The 14th character literally is mom in Paleo Hebrew. It literally is, it's pronounced mom. She is your mom because she deals with the water, the blood, and the spirit. You got to be attached to her. And once again, if she is your mom, that means she is the wife of your father, your Abba. And who is Abba's wife again? Who is Aisha Abba again? Israel. Now can you see the danger of Balaam doctrine? Do you see it now? If you don't know what Balaam doctrine is, by the way, look at Revelation chapter 2, verse 14. If you don't know what Balaam doctrine still is after you read that, read number 22, 23, and 24. It is any doctrine that is sitting there telling you and I to realize that to say that Israel does not belong, that Israel doesn't matter anymore. Paul preaches against that. The same Paul that you want to talk about speaks about grace and grace alone, or faith without works. Paul tells you that the law was always spiritual. The problem is we put our flesh on it. And a lot of your flesh, see, a lot of you have not been born again into an uncircumcised heart or into a circumcised heart, into a circumcised womb. And thank you for the love. You see, so you got to go through a process and then, so it's going to take you 9 months. Right now, this is spiritual I'm talking about. We don't know. It doesn't have to be 9 months specifically, but I'm just saying if you were born, it would take 9 months. And by the way, everything that you're going to get in 9 months is the experience of your father. That's why before you were formed in the belly, I knew thee. I know, thus saith the Lord, I know what you're going to do. Why? Because you're my child. You're my creation. I bara you. I created you. How you going to tell me about you? I know you don't want to hear that. How you going to tell me? Even some of you who've never met your parents, if you were to meet them, I promise you, they would see you and they start smiling and laughing because they'd be like, that thing you're doing, that thing you're doing, that thing you're doing, that's what I do. How you gonna tell me now, especially if we have relationship? Here's the problem. Many of you were taken as they do now, and they get you to go ahead and be about this whole thing of registering your child with the state. And so now they're a ward of state, and now you are being rewarded them, but only to a certain degree. And you're registering your whole life with the state, and everybody has to raise your child, and you can't even school your child and all this stuff. And you think that this is normal when it's actually lunacy, it's ludicrous, if you will. But we think this is normalcy. That being said, though, right? A lot of people don't have a relationship with Abba. Thanks for being part of the community, Rizzo. Right? A lot of people don't have a relationship with the Father, right? And don't realize how you gonna tell the Father about Him. And it's because a lot of us have registered the children that we were awarded, right? We were awarded the children. Yah gives them to us as a reward or an award. He redesignates what is His and says, take care of it because you were faithful over a few things. Let's see what you do with many. Let's see what you do with this baby boy. Let's see what you do with this baby girl. Thank you for the love. How you doing, Dwayne? Dwayne. He said, let's see what you do with it. Dwayne Craig. I guess we got two Dwaynes on here. Right? He said, let's just see what you do. Right? You have been taught how to make sure that you have gained the world. And in the process, we have lost our soul. If you're going to be born again, there's a process before you even come out of the womb. Before there's dilation and before the vagina begins to make way for life to come out, there's a process. And then once you come out, you're not ready. And you're not going to be able to even walk for at least a year. Most people, especially because of the way we feed our children, it's going to be at least a year before that baby walks. But you sitting up there talking about, okay, once I've gone through, I'm just born again and now I'm ready to preach. No, 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 no. That's why Paul says that we should never allow anybody who's immature or anybody who's just been born again to start preaching this. You got to learn how to do this now. This is why in our culture, in the Bible, you have to be 30 years old before you're a rabbi. This is why Yehoshaphat's ministry, he was 33, what you call his ministry, he was 33 and a half years old, right? But he's 3.5 years, his ministry is 3.5. It's because even though he was righteous and perfect in everything he did, it was perfect or against the law for him to be a rabbi before he was 30. So when you hear people like Jamal Bryant, Pastor Jamal Bryant, I'll put some respect on his name, but when you hear people like Pastor Bryant telling people that Yehoshaphat was actually wrong for his life and he was disobedient because he wasn't in his purpose, because he wasn't preaching yet, he's not allowed to by law. So you got to be born again and go through a gestational period long enough and then have somebody walk with you long enough and then start to be put on some things that are easier to eat. And then eventually you can start talking about, let's get into some of this steak stuff. Some of you, see, watch this once again in this, and I'm not trying to be mean to anybody. I'm just trying to tell you how this works. And you being in the process of gestational period, you're so busy, give me, in the selfish, right? I just need to grow. Give me this. Tell me this. When is this going to happen? Why is this not happening? Blah, blah, this and that, right? And you're looking for everything. And sometimes we have to tell you, this might not be for you yet. And you're like, no, see, that's the problem. I came from places where they wouldn't answer questions. No, fine, I'll answer the question. I'm just trying to tell you, you might choke on this because you're not ready for it. There's some things that when people ask me, I say, you know what, I might not be the person to go to. I'm not ready for that yet, but I'm still learning and growing in that area. But here's so-and-so, go to them. Because I'm not even going to go down that road yet when I already know I'm still dealing with da-da-da-da-da. You see what I'm saying? Right? Some people are trying to talk about, yeah, I'm going to read the Apocrypha. And so you think anything that outside the 66 books, you call it Apocrypha. Not everything is Apocrypha. Not everything is apocryphal. For example, some of you are talking about, yeah, I read the Apocrypha. I've read the Testament of Adam and Eve, part 1 and 2. It's wrong. It's not even correct. It's not even righteous. Not even close. And they're saying stuff that automatically we can see from the jump doesn't even make sense because it goes again. But they say, yeah, that's the point. Everything's supposed to go against everything. You know, there's got to be some cultural influence, some language influence. There's some certain signatures that should be there in everything that you read. If not, then it's not even close. How you doing, Minister Morel? Right? Some of us are doing stuff that's not even close. How you doing, Notice Reality? It's not even close. How you doing, Coleman? Some of this stuff is not even close. But just because you want to read something, just because you want to say I'm up on something, you need to learn the basics. Do you know what Barashat is? If you can't tell me that, that's the first book of the Bible and that's the first word of the Bible. If you don't know that, then we need to slow your roll just a tad. If you don't know that Yom is day and that a day doesn't necessarily mean 24 hours, we need to slow your roll. If you don't know that we're in the year 5785, maybe we need to stop talking about things on the calendar. Oh, that messed with somebody, right? You're in 2024. No, you're in 5785. You don't even know that. You see what I'm saying? So somebody doesn't even recognize. Somebody says we're dealing with the firmament. A firmament is talking about something having to do with Uranus or Uranus, which is a spirit that's worshipped by Greek culture, or they would call it a deus or a deity, not even a god. Matter of fact, you don't even know the difference between God and Netjer and Yorija and deity and deus and spirit and Elohim and Elohim, right? And Eloah, right? Because it's Elacha, and Elachem. And some of you don't even know the difference between that. We got to be careful. And Allah and Elachem, is Allah short for Elachem? And are there some people that believe what we believe and call him Allah because of their language, and some people that don't believe what we believe and call him Allah? But you'll get into all this stuff, and if you're not careful, you might be a little too immature. You might be a little too young. You might still be ignorant in certain. I'm sorry. I know people don't want to hear that. How you going to see that's a problem? These preachers, they just want to keep you down. No, I'm telling you that we preach this stuff. If you want, go online and look up a whole bunch of questions that you have. Go on the YouTube channel. I promise you, if you type it on our YouTube channel in the search engine, it'll probably pop up. It'll probably pop up for you. right? Go through the search engine, go through the videos, go through the live sessions, go through, all of it, and scroll through. You'll probably see something that pops up that answers something that you've been talking about, or some question that you have. We do Q&A sessions every 10 days or so to make sure that we can answer questions and stuff. It's not about not answering your question. It's about being honest. If I love my baby, I'm not going to give my 2-month-old baby a steak, because it could take the life of my baby. Matter of fact, I wouldn't even juice, if you will. I wouldn't even try to find a blender that could blend the steak up and then try to give them the blended stuff, because it'll still take the life of the baby, because the baby's body is not ready to digest it. Because if you digest the meat, it's still going to be blended in the body. It's not the fact that just they can't chew it or they might suffocate. Even if you get it past that part of the teeth and the chewing, and once it gets into the esophagus and the stomach, that baby cannot handle it yet. Some people leave places because you didn't give me exactly what I wanted. What if you still a baby in that? But we've gained so much of the world, we've lost soul. I'm on Salah. I know it's rough. It's real talk though. We've gained so much world, so much system, we've lost our soul. Now, I'll go to the Greek version of this word. The Hebrew term, by the way, is nachevash, right? For somebody who's like, why are you going to Greek? We're going to Greek because a lot of people, that's what you're still using. You use the alphabet. If we use the alphabet, guess what the alphabet is? It's Greek. So even though you speak Anglo-ish or kind of sort of English, or kind of sort of Anglo, you write in Greek still. You're very Greek. That's why you like Greek letters on your jackets. Okay. How you doing, brother TJ? Says study and participation with the assembly raises personal stature while bringing reality to the kingdom of Yehovah. Yeah. So watch this. In the Greek, the word soul, it means psyche, Psyche. You would call it psyche. And the word logia is the word, or logic, or the word that means the study thereof, or it means the logic thereof, right? And then you have ist, that just means that you're proficient at something. A pianist, proficient at the piano. A tubist, proficient at the tuba. A flautist, proficient at the flute, etc. Right? Ist on the word just means that you are proficient at it. So if I go to a psychologist, I go to one who is proficient, ist, at the logic or the study of logia, the soul, psyche. Right? A psychologist is supposed to be one who's proficient at studying your soul. Right? And we don't even know that. So when you go to and I'm not saying don't go to any psychologist. How you doing, Fiverr? I'm not saying you can't listen to a psychologist at all. I'm saying we don't even know that when you go to a psychologist, you should think, what would this person, would I benefit with having my soul tied to this person? Because there's positive soul ties. We only talk about soul ties like they're negative. There's positive people to tie your soul to. There's positive people to be talked by, or have somebody listen to you, or somebody to be able to acknowledge things with you. But in our psyche, in our soul, we have lost our soul. We've lost our psyche. So when somebody talks about the psychology of our nation, the psychology of our diaspora, the psychology of our people, I would first tell you, brother, sister, I would first tell you straight up. I would first tell you that the psychology, right, is a huge problem. Your soul, right? Your soul is where the spirit and the body meet. Your soul is eternal as well. And one of the issues that we're having with our community is the soul. Our soul's been zapped. Our soul's been taken. Our soul has had things removed from it. Right? When people talk about Afrocentricity, what is the soul of Afrocentricity? People just go straight to Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey, by the way, awesome person. Where some of my people come from, he's considered to be a prophet. We don't have no problem, no beef with Marcus at all, right? I mean, he could have done a few things better with his family, but overall, Marcus did an excellent work with what he had. That being said, what do you even know what nation you're from? So Western society teaches to separate the souls from the spirit, telling you it's ego, and ID. You told them you have a soul. Yeah. And by the way, you sign your soul. When you sell your soul, when you sign these contracts, what do? You sign the contracts with these 360 deals or these music deals, these acting contracts, all this stuff. And what are you doing? We can use your name and likeness with all perpetuity throughout the universe. We don't even have to ask you permission. We own you. You can be Tupac Shakur, and if the family doesn't make sure they own the likeness, what happens? His soul is still used. Now the family will allow his soul to be used, by the way, but they just want to control it as the family, and they say that they have better. But people talk about, oh, well, Drake did this with Tupac's voice. Well, I mean, some of the reason that Drake did it with Tupac's voice is because y'all already sold some of his soul. You know what I'm saying? Or I don't like, wasn't it not too long ago? Well, I don't know, long relative, but wasn't Snoop on stage at Coachella rapping with Pac after Pac's been gone for decades? Somebody had to sign a document, sell a soul, sell a piece of it, allow his soul to be used. We don't think even of that as a soul, right? But part of that is a soul. When somebody said they sold their soul, this thing is getting to a point to where we don't even respect, right? It's not even physical. There's physical stuff that allows it to show, but it's not even necessarily physical anymore. We're seeing spiritually some wild stuff going on. AI is soulless, except it counts on people's souls. It's over time use all the stuff that we've given it on Google, all the stuff we've given it when you type into something and you have to put in the extra stuff to be able to make sure, oh, okay, I am a human being and let me show you how I work and all this stuff. It's been in the soul. And so it's not quite all together, but it's got enough soul to where people will pay attention to the AI. But when you look at it carefully, you're like, some of this doesn't make sense, right? If you look at AI carefully enough, something doesn't make sense. Something's not making sense, right? The soul, the psychology. We are selling our soul. Yeah, Revelation 13:15. We're selling our soul. We've registered our soul with the system. A lot of the stuff that you're talking about, that you have all these issues with, the financial stuff, a lot of it comes from the fact that you didn't even realize you had to give up your soul. Now watch this. Let's go back now. Praise God. Hopefully we got a great foundation for this, by the way, and thank you, Holy Spirit, have your way. But hopefully we got this together and you see how the born again piece is necessary for us to see the soul, and how we as a nation have begun to lose who we are and how we're supposed to think, and what takes the spirit and puts it with the flesh. Mark chapter 8, verse 34, it says, and when he had called, this is Yehoshua, and when he had called the people once again doubles also for the word nation. So when he called his nation unto him, with his disciples, with those who were disciplined under him as their master meaning teacher, rabbi meaning teacher, master just means teacher. I know you think master means owner. There are people who own people and master them, teach them, right? Or if you own people, you usually want to master them or have somebody else master them or teach them. But this here is just saying that he is our teacher, okay? So, and when he called the nation unto him with his disciples, those disciplined under him, he also, right, said unto them, whosoever will come after me, if you will follow me, if you will come after me, let him deny himself. This is soul protection right here. Praise God, Michael. This is soul protection right here, right? You want to protect the soul of your children. Watch this. If you're going to come after me, deny yourself. And watch this, take up your cross. Why? Because your soul is shaping in iniquity. Your soul, you sold it. Recall this. We talked about this, I think, even yesterday. If I'm going to talk about one of the reasons I have to forgive people is because if whoever is not forgiven, right, is in debt to you. My brother, my sister, hear this, right? This is a wise saying. Whoever you are still have not forgiven, they are in debt to you. Here's the problem. If somebody's in debt to you, they are a slave to you. This is why in our culture, every 7 years and every 50 years, we would make sure that somebody is debt free, right? Everybody has to be debt free because we don't carry slaves around. So if you are not forgiving somebody, they are in debt to you. That means that you're a slave. Here's the problem, right? You forgive as you can be forgiven as you forgive, right? So if you go before the Most High, and let's say you've lost your life, you close your eyes and now you open your life and you're in front of the judge seat at the pearly gates or however you imagine it. And now here comes the Most High and he starts talking to you about things. maybe he runs through stuff and it looks like everything's going fine, but then he might say, "Oh, I see you on here, Mr. Kofi. Um, son, I see you. Oh, wow, I don't even know if I can call you son. I see you on here. You didn't forgive somebody yet." Well, yeah, yeah, but I didn't forget, or I tried to, but I just couldn't, blah, blah. He says, well, here's the deal. Um, since you didn't forgive them, they're in debt to you. So let me pull up. Can you get their file? Because they're a slave to you. Hey, Angel so-and-so, can you get me their so-and-so's file? Because they're still in debt to Kofi. And you start looking, no, what's that? What does that have to do? No, they're in debt. They're in debt to you, so they're your slave. And since they're your property, whatever they owe is what you owe. So you got to pay for them because they're your slave. They have no status outside of you. So now you have to become the one who pays up. And so they look and they say, oh, well, this thing that they didn't forgive you for, yeah, that's pretty serious. So they didn't stop doing it. So you didn't forgive them for it, but here they are. They're still killing people, and they're still taking lives, and they're still forcing women to lay down, and they're still cussing people out. That's on you. That's on you. And now here you are. No, I didn't do those things. I'm actually mad at them for not doing those things. That's why I didn't forgive. No, that's not righteous indignation. That's just indignation. If it was righteous indignation, you would have forgave them. You would have just said, I'm done with you. You see the difference? See, so that's why forgiving whoever I'm in debt to, right? Right? Whoever's in debt to me, they're my slave. If I have not forgiven you, you're in debt to me. If you are in debt to me, you are my slave. You said, so you telling me someone can go around and do whatever? Are you supposed to forgive them? What did I just say? Right? And by the way, if that's your way, and say hello, how you doing, King? But now that we got that right out the way, our hellos, and treat each other like kings. Watch this. Is that what I said? As I said, you just go around and forgive everybody no matter what? Because really, I would say yes, but this is what you think I mean. What you think I mean is forgive them and then let them do whatever they feel like doing. So if they're treating you like a doormat, be a doormat, lay down and take it. If they beat you up, let them beat you up again. If they did something to your wife, let them do it to your wife again. That's not what I said. I even said, legit, forgive them. And if you can't be around or whatever, then you leave them to the side. I say this all the time. Forgiveness is not even a lot of people's problem. It's really building up trust again. If you can't build up trust with somebody, leave them alone. Just forgive them. Don't carry that with you. That's what I'm talking about. Now, if you're saying that for you, that means automatically that no, to forgive somebody doesn't mean that I'm going to, like, okay, watch this. If somebody tried to put their hands on somebody in my family, I'll beat the brakes off you. I'll forgive you even right after. Matter of fact, I might even forgive you while I'm beating the brakes off you. But see, the way I do, if I'm getting a fight with somebody, it's not fair. Like at the end of the day, I'm making sure I go home. So if I have to fight you for any reason, like I'm going to make sure that I go home. That's my goal, right? Even if I lose, I'm going home, right? And if I'm not going home, you're going to lose a chunk of something, right? But I'm going home. That's my goal, right? That being said, once I forgive you, right? If you did something, my family don't got to be around you again. And if you did something that deserves jail time, I'm not going to go to in front of the judge necessarily, like unless led by the Holy Spirit or something. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean I go and show up in the courtroom and I'll be like, Your Honor, please make sure that so-and-so doesn't go to jail. I think they learned their lesson, blah, blah. I'm like, no, you might need jail time, right? You're coming from a different culture. Once again, you're talking about the world. That's not the world is doing some stuff on that. Or the world says, well, if you forgive, it means you're a doormat. No, if I forgive you, like if somebody was to cheat on me, right there, I have a decision to make because you broke contract. I could walk away right there. If I decide to be around you still, then we got to go ahead and figure out how to make sure that this contract can go back to trust. So we got to go back to the trustee, trust, right? The trustor, beneficiary, all the stuff that's in the contract that you broke. And we need to figure out how to reestablish this or else we can't live by this contract. If I just feel like, you know what, I don't even want to deal with it. I know I can't deal with my flesh is, and where I am right now, I'm done with you. Then I have every right to walk away. But when I walk away, I forgive you. I'm just not going to be with you. So if you, right, but it doesn't make sense that I can forgive and walk away. But then while walking away, I keep saying I'm gonna be pulled back because every time I try to go away, yeah, you know what, man, F this person, I can't say, or I'm in a new relationship with somebody. I've been cheated before. Now I'm in a new relationship. Somebody's doing something that's similar to what I saw, but it's not the same thing because this person got genuine love for me. And now here it is, I'm treating them like the person who cheated on me. That's what unforgiveness does, to where I'm still carrying around somebody's debt. And so now everybody who around me, you got to pay for what I won't pay for. because I still own that debt. I'm still connected to it. I ain't got to be connected to that no more. I said this, I think it was on Saturday, maybe, or somewhere, but I said, you know what? Like, I'm at a place in life to where I'm cool with telling anybody I'm under a new standard. So I know what forgiveness is, and I know what debt is, and I know what slavery is, and I know what this mental health issue stuff is that people have. I know what this world and system is. I know what the beast is, and I know how we're supposed to do it. And so I've come out of an old system, and I promise you, ain't nobody gonna make me go back into the old way of thinking. Cause yeah, there's that old me, like, okay, body up, but there's that old way, okay, you did something, I'll pull up, but there's that old, I'm done. I'm in a new thing, and I got new connection. I still got protection. I got better ways of protecting myself, and I got boundaries that'll blow your mind. You know what I'm saying? I got boundaries that'll blow your mind. So those boundaries I live by, they protect me. Laws protect me. Laws don't give rights; they protect rights. So a lot of people, that's your thought process. Is when I say forgive, you like, so just go around forgiving everybody. Yeah, forgive everybody. That don't mean roll. There's some cats that have done some stuff, and I forgive them, and they on death row. Taken. Uh-oh. Did we lose signal? I guess we lost signal. I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that. We lost signal, or we still lost signal. Can y'all hear me on YouTube at all? Because if you can hear me on YouTube and you can't hear me on the device and they both on the same signal, that's crazy. I'm sorry, we lost signal. I'm not sure where I was, but I think I made my point. How you doing, Remnant? How you doing, Vargas? So yeah, when I say forgive, I ain't tripping off of all that stuff. If you in a position where you think forgiveness is for the weak or something like that, then you be, then call me weak. But I promise you, like, I'm strong enough to forgive and still let you and still let you go. I feel like that's stronger. Okay. I'm just saying. So, some of y'all think forgiveness is for the weak, but call me whatever you will. Yep. When your husband's on the cross, first word on the cross is what? Forgive them, for they know not what they do. But Yahashua didn't say just because forgive them, that means forgive everybody. Forgive those who in ignorance don't know what they would do. Why? Because the next word is what? He's on. What's the second word that he says? First word is forgive them, for they don't know what they do. Second word, you got one person who's ignorant on one side, one person who's ignorant on the other. Both of them are standing there, and one person starts to come out of the ignorance and realize, wait a minute, we deserve this. The other person is sitting up there doing the same thing the crowd is, while the crowd is sitting up there taking his life too. They got to make a choice. So I forgive. But if you want to come back into relationship and get back to the same place that you had, you got some explaining to do. You got some living to do. Right? So just because I forgive doesn't mean you just get to, keep being crazy. You know what I'm saying? How you doing, Flash? You still here? Cool. So, um, so when we go back to Mark chapter 8, verse 34, how you doing, Shabbos? Right. It says, when he called the nation unto him with his disciples also, he said unto them, whosoever will come after me, let him deny himself. Once again, because we have been shapen in iniquity. Let him deny himself and pick up his cross and follow me. Whatever he did while he was carrying that cross, you got to do it too. So if Yehoshua forgave, you got to forgive, right? But if Yehoshua forgave and said, now it's on you to make sure you can build up enough trust so that my forgiveness is warranted and that the blood that I shed. See, just watch this. Just because you put blood on the doorpost, if you were outside when the angel came by, but you put blood on the doorpost, it doesn't mean that your life can't be taken. Just because the blood was shed doesn't mean that your life can't be taken. Just because you're an Israelite doesn't mean that you shouldn't put blood on the doorpost, because there was specific instructions given. You can be forgiven, right? The child can be saved, the life can be saved, but you got to deny yourself, deny you thinking that you're going to make this thing work, and you got to be in position, because the death angel, when it comes, the death angel is promised is coming. How you doing, Mad Bear? The death angel is coming, because Kemet, because Pharaoh, because the beast, because that world, that system tried to pronounce it on you. And they can speak things into existence as well. But when they speak things into existence, the Most High already has it set up to where you still can be protected. But you better be in position, right? Just be careful. Don't close the eyes and be talking about, yeah, go before the Father and say, yeah, I ain't forgive because I'm gonna be all these cats. They don't deserve forgiveness, and I couldn't trust them like that. And then you get before your Father and say, the law says forgive. The law didn't say you had to trust him. I'm just saying, don't put yourself in a position, right? I don't even know what you're talking about, Shannon, but thank you for being on. Appreciate you, right? So don't just put yourself in position, right? Don't put yourself in position where forget Kofi, forget me. I'm just a vessel, and I'm not the Most High, and I'm gonna get a glorified body, and who knows if it's gonna look anywhere similar to what I have right now. That being said, forget this flesh, this vessel right now. I come on behalf of one greater than I, and you're gonna have to go before him, and don't go before him, and he tells you in his law to forgive. Don't said forgive 70 times 7. Don't I ain't trying to forget because the world, blah, blah, whatever, because he's not judging you on what you think. Your ways are not his ways. No, your thoughts, his thoughts. As high as the heavens are from the earth, your ways from his ways and your thoughts from his thoughts. We planting them seeds. Come on now. It can't be about our opinion. I tell the people this all the time. People say, what's your opinion on that? I say, I don't opine. If you're looking for me to give you an opinion, it's going to be very rare that I give it. Why? Because I don't want to give you something that is of me. I deny myself. Let him deny himself. Somebody said, people don't like this part of it. I'm not saying there's some stuff as far as learning how to invest, learning how to make sure, or getting, homes that you're willing to rehabilitate, trying to start from the bottom, whatever, in certain things, being more humble in certain things, learning about different things as far as crypto, if you want to go into that. Of course, there's a whole bunch of different stuff we can talk about. People will say, how did you do this? Or what's the success in this? And I tell people stuff that they don't want to hear. But sometimes part of it, I'll say, look, I deny myself. How you doing, Minister Dr. Tamar? Right? Sometimes I deny myself. Sometimes it's that simple. Like sometimes I wish I can go into a thing. Sometimes it's I won't say I've never. that's too far. Let me deny myself from lying. But sometimes the answer is, hey, I just don't do what I want to do. Sometimes that's what discipline is. Sometimes discipline is I don't want to work out today, but it's on the schedule because I promised I would work out every day. Right? And even though I ain't getting there, if you notice, your boy, he's not thinning up. Exactly. I ain't got rid of this and I still got a little of this. But if you notice, it's starting to get stocky, right? Because I'm starting to get a little bit, even if I don't get cut, I'm gonna try and do some quick twitch stuff, to get cut a little bit. But I'm not even focused on getting cut. I want to be in shape. I don't know if it's gonna look buff or if it's just I'm gonna look stocky or whatever. But I'm keeping my promise. I'm keeping my word, right? I'm be focused on it. It's discipline, even if I don't like it, right? And that's I deny myself. I want to eat a whole bunch of stuff I'm not supposed to eat, but I'm on a smoothie journey right now again to get myself in the fruit, to make sure that I'm doing stuff and getting hydrated on a level I haven't been hydrated, and get rid of some headaches and stuff that's been coming up, and make sure I'm more focused, and so I can make sure that as the Most High is changing me up and doing some things, focus and make sure that I can get some of that stuff back that is kind of haywire lately because I've been so busy that I'm not being disciplined. So I said, no, I'm going to go back. Sometimes the best thing, somebody says, hey, why, how did you make it? How did you learn how to preach like that? How did you learn? I denied myself. When other cats don't start working on what they're preaching until the night before or the morning thereof, the rising thereof, right? I'm not going back. I'm telling you what it is. It's like when I was playing basketball, right? I was playing basketball every day. You sitting up there, you working on stuff, and you sit there.